You probably clicked on this video because you're curious about music theory. Maybe you think learning theory will help you become a better musician. And you're right. If you want to build a great musical foundation, music theory is key. Understanding how music works gives you the tools to become the musician you've always wanted to be. And in this video, I'm going to show you everything that you need to know about music theory to get started. Okay, well, let's begin at the very start with the geography of the piano. Piano is the instrument most people turn to when learning music theory because it's just so easily laid out with the white keys and the black keys. But we need to learn the order of the black keys to begin. So we're going to go like this: 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. The piano is just a pattern of 2 black notes and then 3 black notes. And on top of that, we need to actually learn the note names for all of these types of notes. The first thing we're going to learn is the musical alphabet, which starts at the letter A. The bottom note of the piano, if you have a full 88-key piano, this is actually your A note. So it goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But then when we get to G, we just start the alphabet over again. This is the musical alphabet. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different letters. When you get to G, you just start over. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on and so forth. And it doesn't matter what instrument you're playing, all instruments use the letter A to the letter G. Okay, so now that we know the musical alphabet is A to G, we need to find out how to figure out where our notes are. So we're gonna have some reference notes. Beside the 2 black notes, to the left, specifically this one, this is the most important note on the piano. This is called our middle C. It's the C that's closest to the middle of the piano. A lot of people think this is the exact middle of the piano. Well, I think the exact middle is somewhere like between E and F. But for this is the C that is closest to the middle, so we call it middle C. And if this is C, then I can just go up the alphabet. D, E, F, G, and then I start over again, A, B, C. But it's also really good to practice your alphabet backwards. So C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. So really good to get really familiar with that. Another great reference note, a landmark note, if you will, to the left of the 3 black notes, we have F. So here's an F, here's an F, here's an F, here's an F. Anytime you're to the left of the 3 black notes, you have all of these Fs. And if you're left of the 2 black notes, C. So that's how you can figure out any name of any white note. If I went like this, okay, well, here's F, down 1 note is E. What about this note? Okay, well, here's C, so then here goes B, and there's A. So you can always kind of use that as a reference to figure out what the note name is. But now let's talk about these black notes. The black notes actually have 2 different names. I'm gonna start off with a name that you may have heard before, the sharps. And so the sharps go like this, C. If I go up 1 semitone, this is called C sharp. So if I go up to the right 1 semitone, that is a sharp. Now D, D sharp. Let's just do the black notes first. F, F sharp. G, G sharp. A sharp. Hopefully you kind of get the idea a little bit. C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp. But what if I go down to the left? Well, these black notes have another name. They can also be called flats. And so if I went like this, E, I go down to the left, I call it E flat. So same thing, D, D flat. Here's B, there's B flat. A flat. G, G flat. So here's the formula. If you go up a semitone, it's a sharp. And if you go down a semitone, it's a flat. Now the last thing I need to say on this is these notes. Between B and C, there's no black note. Same with E and F. There's no black note there. So what do we do in those cases? Well, this note, if I go up a semitone, you can, in theory, call this B sharp. I know, kind of gross, right? Why wouldn't you just call it C? There are some theoretical reasons for that, but it's good for you to know. Same with this one. C flat is technically also B. And then there you can get into a little bit deeper. You can go like C double flat, which is technically C flat again. Like you can get into some crazy note names, or C double sharp, C, C sharp. C double sharp is just a D. So you can kind of get into double sharps and double flats, but for now, all you need to know is for these white notes here, E, this is also E sharp, and for F, this is also F flat, even though it's not a black note. White notes can still be sharps or flats. Once a week, we have a live stream inside of Piano called In Theory, where myself or one of our amazing piano coaches will guide you through a 1-hour weekly theory lesson and answer all of your music-related questions. If you want to check that out or dive a little bit deeper into music theory, click the link below to get started with a free trial of the piano. Join us and get started today. Okay, our next really important topic is scales and intervals. So let's begin with intervals. If you don't know what an interval is, it's the distance between two notes. So from here to here. If I asked, okay, well, what's the distance? We can call this half steps or whole steps, or if you're in the UK, semitones or whole tones. For now, I'm gonna call them half steps and whole steps. So if I said, okay, how many steps is it from C to F? I could go, okay, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What about from C to E? Well, then it's just gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 half steps. And all you need to know is a half step is the distance from one note to the very next note. But a whole step is basically just 2 half steps. So from C to D, that's a whole step. From D to E, that's another whole step because I'm kind of skipping that one. From E to F sharp, that's gonna be my whole step again here. The reason I'm showing you half steps and whole steps is because we're gonna use the H and the W to create some formulas to be able to play our scales. And scales are the foundation of what makes music, how to know what notes are in what key. And the funny thing is you can play any scale on the piano as long as you understand this one formula. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So 2 wholes and a half, and then 3 wholes and a half. So let me show you how that works. Let's pick any note on the piano. Let's say D. Okay, so in the key of D, I'm gonna follow this formula. So the first one is a whole step. So E is my next note. Then I need to go another whole step. Skip one, there it is. Now I need to go a half step. So just down one note. And now 3 whole steps in a row. 1, 2, 3, and then we finish it off with a half step. So if you do that formula, you can create any major scale. One more time, a little bit faster. Starting on E. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So write down that formula, do whatever you need to do to remember it. But here is the minor scale formula now. Now, a different one, the natural minor scale. Whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. So make sure you write that down. W, H, W, W, H, W, W. And it sounds like this. So starting on a note, whole, half, whole, whole, half, and then 2 wholes. Whole, whole. So just like that, if you can write down both of those formulas, you can start on any note on the piano and create your major or your minor scales. Okay, so the last thing I'm gonna teach you about intervals is the distance between all the notes. So while I said, from C to F is 5 semitones, C to E is 4, they actually have names when you go a certain distance apart. And I'm gonna show you what they are by using the white notes for now, and then we'll get into the black notes. So the distance from C to D, this is called a major second. From C to E, this is a major third. C to F, the perfect fourth. C to G, a perfect fifth. C to A major sixth. C to B, a major seventh. And when you get to the same note, this could be called a perfect eighth, or more commonly known as an octave. So there are all the white keys. What about the black keys? So now we have, this is a crunchy one, it's kind of like the Jaws song. This is a minor second. Then we have a minor third. This one is commonly referred to as the tritone, or the augmented fourth, or the diminished fifth. This one has a bunch of names because it kind of sounds a little scary. Our next one, this is the minor sixth, the minor seventh, and then again, you get to the octave. So now you know all the distances, and if you go from A and you do the same distance apart, the intervals are called the same thing. Make sure you kind of study up on those intervals and really ingrain those in your head, because they're gonna really help you in tons of stuff moving forward when it comes to music theory. Okay, so the reason I really wanted to show you those interval distances is because now that you know that, you can build any triad on the piano. In the next 2 minutes here, this is probably the most important part of the entire video. If you're new to piano, I'm gonna teach you how to play every major chord, every minor chord, every augmented chord, and every diminished chord in the next 2 minutes here. Okay, I'm gonna set a mental time limit on myself so that we can do this. Ready? Go. Okay, a major chord. This is what major chords sound like. The formula for a major chord is a major third, which is 4 semitones, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a minor third, 1, 2, 3. If I do it again, start on any note, E flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, there's a major third, 1, 2, 3. So 4 plus 3, that's the formula, really. E flat major, one more, F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. F major chord. Now, minor chords, flip it the other way around. Start with a minor third, which is 3 semitones, and a major third, which is 4 semitones. Sounds like this. A, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. A minor. D, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. D minor. And follow that formula. Last one, F, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 plus 4, the minor chord. Augmented is 2 different major thirds. So 4 plus 4, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next one, G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is your augmented triad. And the last one, I know I'm running out of time, is the diminished. The diminished is gonna be 3 plus 3, 2 minor third triads. So it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. F, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And A, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And time. I have no idea how long that was, but you can let me know in the comments how long it took me. A major chord is a major third, which is 4 semitones, and a minor third, which is 3 semitones. A minor chord is that in reverse. So a minor third plus a major third, which is 4 semitones. The augmented is 4 semitones plus 4 semitones, which is a major third interval with another major third interval. And a diminished one is a minor third, 3 semitones, with another minor third on top, 3 semitones. With that, you can play any chord on the piano, any triad. It's D major, G flat diminished, F minor, E major, you name it, and you can build it as long as you remember that theory formula. All right, so now you've kind of got your triads under you. So we're gonna quickly talk about chord spelling. So this is something in theory that gets overlooked all the time, because now you know how to play a D major chord. It's this, D, 4 semitones, 3 semitones. But what are these note names? Well, you probably know that this is D and this is A, but what is this middle note? Is it F sharp or is it G flat? And is one more right than the other? The answer is yes, it is. This F note right here, this is called F sharp because triads are built up in what we call thirds. So that means any kind of D triad, we need to have D something, skip over E, F something, and skip over G, A something. Now let me show you what I mean. We're gonna make every type of D triad. So D major, D minor, D diminished, and D augmented. So D major sounds like this. Because everything is built in thirds, we need to have D something, skip over E, F something, and A something. So this one's pretty easy. D, F sharp, we're gonna call this one an A. Okay, well, what about D minor? D minor is actually probably the easiest one of all for this because we're gonna have 3 semitones and 4 semitones. So now we have D, F, and A. It's all the white notes, so this one's actually quite easy. It starts to get tricky though. Let's do D diminished. 3 semitones and 3 semitones. So what are the 3 names of these notes? D, F, and is this G sharp or is it A flat? Well, it has to be A something. So we're gonna call it A flat. D, F, A flat is the theoretical correct spelling. And what about the last one, D augmented? D, F sharp, and this one, do we call it A sharp or do we call it B flat? Actually, even though we used A flat before, this one is now A sharp because it always has to be A something. D something, F something, and A something. And that rule is still true even if the beginning note is D sharp. It still needs to be D sharp something, F something, and A something. So because chords are built up in those thirds. So if you take a look at this musical alphabet here on the screen, if you start on a D, then you need to skip to F, then you need to skip to A. And if you start and play a C chord, it needs to start on C, then it moves to E, and then it moves to G. All right, let's get into note values, how to read music. So this is a quarter note. It equals 1 beat, and you can have up to 4 quarter notes in a single measure of 4/4 time. So that 4/4 that you're seeing right now, that is called a time signature. And that top number tells us exactly how many of these quarter notes that we can have in a measure. So in this case, 4 on top, we can have 4 quarter notes. Next, we have a half note. A half note is worth 2 beats. It's essentially the same as 2 quarter notes. Same kind of 1, 2, except you're gonna hold it. Instead of playing it twice, like quarter note, half note, you just hold 1, 2. And you can fit 2 of those notes in a measure of 4/4. So go 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're each worth 2 beats. The next one is a whole note. A whole note equals 4 beats of music, or the entire measure of whatever your time signature is. And the whole note you're just gonna hold again, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one's just a nice little oval. And you can also have something called an eighth note. An eighth note is half of a quarter note. So you might be asking me, Kevin, how do we have half of 1? Well, now instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, you would count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So what happens when you have lots of eighth notes side by side? When you have 2 of them side by side, they're gonna be kind of bridged together. And you can also have 4 of them side by side that kind of look like this. And they're gonna be bridged together, and it would sound like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, finally, we have dotted notes. You can put a dot beside any note, and it adds half of the value of the note it's beside. That's a little bit confusing, and this is the one that gets everyone. So let me explain one more time. A half note with a dot beside it equals 3. And that's because a half note is worth 2. And so if you split 2 in half, it's just 1. So then you go 2 plus 1 equals 3. Let's get into time signatures, because not every song you play is gonna be in 4/4. For example, you might see this one, 3/4. So what happens when the top number changes? It just means that there's gonna be 3 beats per measure. And that bottom note, when it's 4, means that the quarter note equals 1 beat. And so there can be many different types of time signatures. We won't have time to cover them all here, but if you want to learn more, we do have an amazing lesson with David Bennett going over all of the different time signatures and the complex ones that he really likes to play. All right, so now we're starting to learn the theory on how to read notes. So now that we know how long to hold our notes, it's time to look at how to know which ones to play using something called music notation, which looks a little something like this. We got a bunch of lines, we have a little circle depending on where the note could be, and so the most important one I want you to look at is middle C. Now, this middle C is right in the middle of both staffs. And this is the middle C on the piano I showed you at the very beginning of this lesson. The left hand are usually shown with a bass clef. It kind of looks like this guy, and that is showing me it's the notes below middle C on the piano, everything down here. And the right hand is typically shown with a treble clef, everything above middle C. Kind of looks like that. Often people use acronyms to help remember each note name on the actual staff. That's what those lines are called. It's called a staff, a musical staff. And when you have 2 lines on piano, we call that the grand staff. But on each staff, we have 5 lines and 4 spaces. And the spaces in the treble clef go like this: F, A, C, and E. It actually just spells the word face. So you have a note in the first space, that's called F. The second space is A, so on and so forth. In the treble clef, we also have the line notes, which go like this: E, G, B, D, and F. Now, people like to use sayings to help remember these notes, like every good boy deserves fudge, every good burger deserves fries. I've heard every good band deserves fans. There's so many different sayings that you can come up with. Every good bear deserves fish is, I think, another one. And the bass clef has its own acronyms. In the spaces, it goes A, C, E, and G. A popular one here, tons of people have learned this one, is all cows eat grass. So in the spaces in the bass clef, all cows eat grass in the spaces. And on the lines, it goes G, B, D, F, A. And typically you're gonna use some sort of, you can create your own acronyms, or good boys deserve fudge always, or good bears deserve fish always. You can go ahead and make up your own. Let me know in the comments what you use or what you learned when it comes to these acronyms. But they should help you at least getting started to know what the names of the notes are on music notation. So theory is extremely useful, but what is the point of it if we can't actually begin to play music? So I'm gonna show you some extremely common chord progressions, the most popular chord progressions as a matter of fact. And they just use 4 chords. They're gonna use your C major chord, your G major chord, A minor, and F major. If I was to play this chord progression, this is literally hundreds, if not thousands of songs. And you can probably hear different melodies over top of it. I won't play any melodies because there's literally so many songs that have the same chord progression. So this progression is called the 1-5-6-4. Now, why is it called the 1-5-6-4? It's because in my C major scale, if I'm playing a song in the key of C, you've now learned how to create a scale. But now you're gonna learn, okay, I'm gonna give each of these scales a number or a degree. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, we repeat at 1. So each one of these numbers actually has a chord that could be attached to it that occur naturally inside the key. So in C, 1 is gonna be C major. My 5, I break it up into thirds. Now I have G major. If I start on A and split it up into thirds, I have A minor. And my 4th chord here, F, is F major. So my chord progression becomes C, G, A minor, and F. But if you kind of just like start that progression from halfway through, start on the 6th chord, the A minor, you get the most popular minor progression of all time. That sounds like this: 6, 4, 1, 5. And if you start to add different, rhythms to it, it can sound like. I'm not gonna say what song it is, but let me know if you recognize something like that in the comments down below. But those are chord progressions, the 1-5-6-4 and the 6-4-1-5. It's the same progression, just starting on a different degree. Now, if you can learn both of those progressions, there are hundreds of thousands of songs that you can play. Theory is essential when it comes to understanding how music works, but it doesn't mean much unless you can actually try to apply these concepts to your instrument. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about music theory, and I'll see you next time.